What if doing the right thing doesn't reward you, but costs you everything? Welcome back to the Bible Wisdom Collective channel. In the last part, we saw Joseph betrayed by his own brothers, stripped of his robe, thrown into a pit, and sold into slavery. Today, the story continues, not upward, but deeper. This is the part of Joseph's life where faith is tested not in public victories, but in private integrity, where obedience brings consequences instead of applause, and where God works most powerfully when no one is watching. A slave in a foreign land. Joseph arrives in Egypt with nothing, no family, no status, no protection, only chains and memories. He is sold to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh and captain of the guard. By all human standards, Joseph's life is over before it ever begins. But Scripture quietly repeats a sentence that refuses to be ignored. The Lord was with Joseph. Genesis 39:2. Not after he was rescued, not after justice was served, but while he was a slave. Joseph begins to work, faithfully, diligently, quietly, and something unexpected happens. Everything he touches prospers. Potiphar notices. Joseph is trusted, promoted, placed in charge of the household. From slave to overseer, not by manipulation, not by revenge, but by faithfulness in the lowest place. This is a hard truth we often forget. God's presence does not always remove hardship. Sometimes it transforms it from the inside. When integrity becomes a target, Joseph is now successful, trusted, respected. And then another test comes, one far more personal. Potiphar's wife notices Joseph. Day after day, she tries to seduce him, not once, not subtly, but persistently. Joseph could have justified giving in. He was alone, far from home. No one would know. But Joseph refuses, and listen carefully to why he refuses. How then could I do such a wicked thing and sin against God? Genesis 39:9. Not against Potiphar, not against his reputation, against God. Joseph understands something many of us struggle to grasp. Integrity is who you are when disobedience would be easier. Running away from sin. One day, Potiphar's wife corners Joseph when no one else is home. She grabs his cloak and demands that he lie with her. And Joseph does something radical. He runs. He leaves his garment behind and flees the house. This is one of the most powerful, understated moments in Scripture. Joseph doesn't argue. He doesn't negotiate. He doesn't linger. He runs. Sometimes holiness looks less like standing strong and more like knowing when to escape. Punished for doing the right thing. Humiliated and rejected, Potiphar's wife twists the story. She accuses Joseph of trying to assault her, using the cloak he left behind as evidence. Joseph never gets to defend himself. No trial, no explanation, no justice. He is thrown into prison. Let that sink in. Joseph obeyed God, refused sin, chose integrity and his reward. Chains. This is one of the hardest lessons in the Bible. Doing the right thing does not guarantee immediate reward. Sometimes it brings deeper suffering. And yet, Scripture says it again. The Lord was with Joseph. Genesis 39:21. Even in prison, especially in prison. Faithfulness behind bars. The prison is dark, confined, forgotten. But Joseph does not become bitter. He serves, he works, he remains faithful. And once again, God's presence changes everything. Joseph gains favor with the prison warden. He is placed in charge of other prisoners. Even behind bars, Joseph lives with excellence. This teaches us something uncomfortable, but freeing. Your calling does not disappear just because your circumstances worsen. Joseph's faith was not situational. It was rooted. Dreams return in the dark. While in prison, Joseph meets two men, Pharaoh's cupbearer and baker. Both are troubled by dreams. Joseph listens, and then he says something crucial. Do not interpretations belong to God? Genesis 48. Joseph interprets their dreams, not for attention, not for gain, but with humility. One dream leads to restoration, the other to judgment. Both come true. Before the cupbearer is released, Joseph asks for one thing. Remember me. Just remember. And the cupbearer agrees. Forgotten again. The cupbearer is freed, and Joseph is forgotten. 2 full years pass. 2 years of silence, 2 years of waiting, 2 years of unanswered prayers. Joseph did everything right and still remains unseen. This may be one of the most relatable moments in the story. Waiting after obedience is one of the hardest spiritual trials. If this story is speaking to you, consider subscribing to our channel. It's a small click, but a meaningful way to support us as we continue this journey and walk alongside you toward a better life, one day at a time. God was working all along. Joseph doesn't know it yet, but prison is not the end. It is preparation. God is shaping Joseph's character, sharpening his wisdom, and aligning the moment when everything will change. The dreams, the betrayal, the slavery, the prison, none of it is wasted. Joseph's story is teaching us something profound. God may be silent, but he is never absent. Delay is not denial, and faithfulness in the dark prepares us for light. Final reflection. Joseph's time in Egypt shows us that integrity matters even when it costs us. God's presence does not depend on our position. Faithfulness is formed when no one is watching, and suffering can be preparation, not punishment. If you are in a season where doing the right thing feels unrewarded, where obedience seems to lead to loss, and where God feels quiet, Joseph's story is for you. If this message encouraged you, please like this video, share it with someone who may be struggling, and leave a comment below. Have you ever been punished for doing the right thing? We would love to hear your story. In the next part, we will see how God lifts Joseph from prison to the palace, and how faithfulness in obscurity prepares us for purpose. Until then, remember this: God is with you, even when no one else sees.